I'm starting to notice that the biggest decisions that I've made in my life and that I will make come down to an answer that you'll never know is correct. I've heard many people talk about this before, but I've never really acknowledged how I actually feel about it. And it can be alarming, especially when you're young, to really deal with that. And I always go through the metaphor that someone smarter than myself and that I really admire brought to me in my past, and they said, we've been doing tests, all these things that have multiple choice for a whole high school career. This was on graduation. And now we're not going to have any more of those. And well, since then I have been to college and I have done other things, but it's not really about the actual decision of like knowing if it's A, B, or C, or D. We're getting to the point where I guess we as a collective, we're all doing this. We've all grown up with exams, then we have to really try and realize that there is no A, B, C, or D. You make them all, and then you don't even know if what you picked is right until never. Some people say there might be a Rolodex of your decisions at the end of your life. Some people find that super motivating. I have never found that to be something that really spoke to me. But it's alarming. Because as someone who spent the last couple months mulling over a decision that I definitely don't know will be correct ever, it is alarming. And this can be a part of something at any point of your life. There's never going to be a time where you don't have a decision in the future that means something. But how do you navigate that? And I think it comes with faith, but not in any sort of power. It just comes with faith in yourself. Faith that you're the person that can deal with hard things. Yeah, that's one of those. But just sometimes sitting back and taking a breath and just realizing you're never supposed to know. There's nothing in this life that you really own. Which definitely can screw some people up if that's what they really want. If they want to own things, they want to satisfy that material itch. But man, so the question really is, what if I'm wrong? What if all the things that I led up to, no matter what it is, a career decision, a relationship decision, a vacation decision, something fun, I often relate it to the fantasy football or something. Like, what if that one thing that you've spent time thinking about, or even leading up to, climbing the ladder and realizing that you don't want to get to the top of that building, and you're already there. You're like, oh crap, I went in the wrong direction. What if you're wrong? And I hear people say, like, failure. I mean, failure is a good thing to some extent, but you did fail. And you really do have to go through the effort of getting back on that horse. When it really would just be so much more simple if you just never had to get off in the first place. Never had to admit it. But of course, that's too ideal. Every human ever would prefer that. It's easier that way. So, what if I'm wrong? I'm deciding if I want to go into more detail of this, but I'm sure everybody my age has something that they're deciding on. Now gotten to the end of my college experience, I don't really know where it's gotten me. And that's a whole other topic that can lead to so many places, but we've all been conditioned to find the right answer. And going at it to the point of figuring out that whatever you did is going to be right. You're going to have to make it right, because the alternative doesn't exist. I haven't seen a movie or a show that really got to embrace this. But if you were able to live a whole life and pinpoint the greatest decisions that you have to make, and in that life you live it through those decisions, every one of them. But when you die, you're reborn in the very precise position of being able to decide a different fate. You got to live every one of the same life, just with different decisions. Obviously, this is a stupid exercise because it doesn't exist. But maybe it can give you some sort of reframe where, what life would you prefer? And of course, you have no idea what lies on the other side of that door that you chose to open, but maybe it gives you a little bit of perspective on you. Maybe you figure out what you actually want. The age-old question that everyone always says, what do you actually want? And maybe figuring out that that's the thing in your life that actually means something to you. As well as this, I find myself getting bored with the same questions that I keep asking myself, but I also am wildly enticed by their complexity. I mean, I'm going to keep asking those questions, but they all sort of lead to the same conclusion. Find out what you want, what's important to you, trust that things will be okay in the end. And that seems kind of trite and boring and oversimplifying a life of absolute chaos. And not that my life is chaotic, but there is really no means to it. You're born with this life that you have to figure out. And we have all these resources to figure out what we actually want, and we learn from all these other people, but really, should we be? I don't want to venture into too many different points because I'm not really sure what this is going to be. But a little bit of journal to myself might not be the worst thing ever. But what if I'm wrong? I haven't actually addressed that part. What if I'm actually wrong? What if I do have to climb down the ladder and get back on the horse, or whatever it is, whatever silly analogy? What if I'm wrong, but I don't want to climb down the ladder? What if I end up in the spot that I hate, that I just don't even find joy or satisfaction in, and I don't want to climb down the ladder and go back to it? Go back to searching, because the reality that you're in, even though it's unsatisfying, you still know it. So, how do you hold yourself accountable to do what's actually right? You can go to whatever guru or whatever inspiring influencer you have, and I'm sure there's somebody But how do you have the discipline to actually go and do that? I mean, I've done it, but what actually gets you there? I think not enough people these days care about the fact that they have a life. I think I get stuck in that plot too. And what I mean by that is they go about doing things. They don't acknowledge what they actually mean or why they want to do them, or even if they want to do them. The easiest example is scrolling on their phone. And so if you have a little bit of the agency to actually look at why or what you want, it becomes so much easier to figure out that it's worth more to fight for that rather than sit in the complacent world where you're dissatisfied. And it's not like I'm trying to tell anybody this. This is me telling myself. All these people that have type A personalities that have made it on all the social media sites, they're succeeding like crazy, and they just say, you got to work harder, you got to do all this more. But that's only so easy. And yes, of course, there's more work you can do. There's more drive and desire than anybody could have to make sure that they're more successful. But then all those people say that they're not happy still. Elon Musk tweeting that money doesn't buy happiness, I think is the most hilarious thing that's happened ever. He's got it all the money at least. No hate to the guy. That's hilarious. So, asking why, asking what you want, and then make sure you don't lie to yourself. Because the worst lies are the ones you tell yourself. Because if you get stuck in this cyclical just lies of your own mind, that you're okay, this is actually what you want, but you know that like deep down, you can actually feel that it's wrong. And it might not be obvious, it's quiet. But as soon as you silence the noise, it's there. You know that when you talk to yourself, it's hiding right there inside you, and you know that you're lying to yourself. You're disappointing yourself. You'll hate you because you're ignoring yourself. You're forcing unhappiness upon your own life. And that's when you have the agency to go and fix it. When you really feel that you screwed up, not even that the decision you made is bad, but the real issue is if you sit in it and you keep making that bad decision. You're reinforcing the habit of unhappiness or whatever it is. Because who knows if happiness is what you actually need in your life, but you keep reinforcing the thing that ruins you. What's the point of living at that point, right? I'm realizing there's literally no answers from this. This is just where my mind's at. And maybe someone out there, definitely other people are out there with the same thing. But you just sort of got to say to yourself, let's go, Roman. Let's go figure it out. Let's go make it happen. Because anything but. Anything but that's a waste. What if I'm wrong? Guess you'll wait and see and you'll figure it out. And if you are, do something about it. That's where I'm at right now, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong.